Hey Chaotic Crew, Brian here, and we've got a fun new deck tech from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set that's coming out here soon. I just wanted to dive into this set. I've been very excited to look at the cards that are going to be a part of it. So we're going to take a fun look at a Ninja Kindred deck that I've got going on here. But first, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Mana Pool. It's a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best value in buying cards, and the team is focused on making it a great experience for buyers and sellers alike. Yeah, make sure if you want to pick up any of these cards to check out Mana Pool using the link in our description below. Otherwise, we can dive into this 3-color ninja deck. It is run by Splinter, Radical Rat. Splinter's a 3-mana 2/4 mutant ninja rat. An ability of a ninja creature you control triggers. That ability triggers an additional time. And it also has 1 and a blue to make target ninja unblockable this turn. So really, really strong card here. And let me zoom in a little bit more. But this is an Esper Ninja deck. I've always wanted to make Esper Ninjas ever since, you know, the Kamikawa set came out originally. I just thought it was a really cool idea. I know they're mostly in black and blue, but Esper Ninjas is really cool. And I think this set's going to have a lot more support in white for ninjas. We already have all the rares and mythics from the set, so if you don't want to get spoiled any more than this card, I apologize if you did get spoiled, but if you don't want to get spoiled anymore, there's going to be a few cards in this set, so maybe check it back in a couple weeks. But first off, Splinter is just really great. It's a Panamara on Fairy Ninjas. You don't need to have him on the battlefield for your deck to do really well, but he also does something on the battlefield by making your ninjas unblockable, which is important, right? That is nice to have. So up next, we have obviously 2 Kaitos. Both work really well with ninjas, right? We'll talk about Kaito Shizuki, the first one, and phasing out after he enters is a great touch, because typically when you're playing ninja decks, you're tapping out all your mana, and then all your creatures are tapped, right, when your opponent's turns are going on, so kind of leave them wide open. But Kaito draws you cards, he makes ninjas, and his big ultimate fetches you any ninja you want onto the battlefield, essentially. So not bad, but you're typically using this just for the card draw. Kaito Cunning Infiltrator, however, only gets, loyalty counters for his +1 and when we do combat damage to a player. So we can get up to 4 loyalty counters on him in one turn. His +1 makes 1 target creature we control unblockable. We draw on the discard card, and then he can make a ninja token, and then you get an emblem with whenever a player casts a spell, you create a 2/1 blue ninja creature token. So that is definitely a very strong finisher right there, going to help us close out the game with our ninjas. As far as creatures are concerned, we have some really strong ones. Obviously, Ninja's a very strong archetype, really, since it got some commander support back when Eureka came out, but we'll get to Eureka in a bit. First, Archetype of Imagination is great. It pretty much makes all of our ninjas unblockable, all of our creatures unblockable, because all of our creatures are going to have flying, and none of the creatures our opponents control can have flying. Just a good card to have in general. I know our commander can make things unblockable, but sometimes we don't want to spend 2 mana per creature. Archetype of Imagination for, again, essentially, if we're making more than 3 of our creatures unblockable, it's worth it to have in the deck. That's my mindset with it. Baleful Strix is really great. When it enters, it draws a card, and then, when you're ninjutsuing your ninjas out or sneaking them out, right, you're returning Baleful Strix to your hand, you can replay it, draw another card. So really strong here, and a fantastic blocker to have as well. People don't really want to block or attack into a Flying Death Toucher. Changing Outcast is great. It's a ninja that can't be blocked, so you'll love to see it. Dark Leo and Shredder, one of the new cards from the TNMT set. It's 1 of the black for a 1/3 ninja turtle human mutant, and it has Sneak, white, and a black. So Sneak is very similar to Ninjutsu, and Ninjutsu is just return an unblocked attacker you control to the hand, put this card into the play from your hand, tapped and attacking. Now, the main difference between Sneak and Ninjutsu is Ninjutsu is an ability. You're not casting this creature when you Ninjutsu it in. With Sneak, you are casting it. It counts as a cast trigger. So that's going to be the main difference there. So your opponents can counter, right, those spells. But yeah, Dark Leo Shredder is great. It makes attacking ninjas you control of Death Touch. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you make a 1/1 black ninja token. Then if you control 5 or more ninjas, that player loses half their life rounded up. So even though this is 2 mana, Dark Leo and Shredder is actually a great way to kind of do lots of big damage in one go. So really strong card here in the deck. Fairy Seer is just a 1-drop, 1/1 flyer. Scries 2 and it enters. Grant on card to Ninjutsu or Sneak your creatures in. Flittering Nuisance, 1 mana, 2/2, essentially a 1/1, right? You could also use it to draw a card if you needed it to, but it's essentially just a 1/1 flyer for 1. Ginger Brute is a 1/1 for 1 that can also essentially make himself unblockable, so for 1 extra mana. So really love that, helps get ninjutsu cards in pretty easily. Other similar cards, we have Ingenious Prodigy. It's Skulk, so it can't be blocked really. You'll have it enter in with 0 counters, and then later in the game you can maybe play it for lots of counters and draw cards. Mistcloak Herald just can't be blocked. Mockingbird is a great way to do this as well. For 1 mana, it can be a 1/1, but then later in the game, it can be a copy of one of your creatures, or maybe of another creature on the battlefield that your opponents have. That's really great. Ornithopter is great. It's a 0/2 flyer for 0 mana, so being able to constantly recast this and use it to ninjutsu cards out is pretty fantastic. We also have Slitherblade that can't be blocked. Siren Storm Tamer, which is, a fantastic way to do that, and also has the upside of being able to counter a spell or ability. Prehistoric Pet is a new 1-drop for these ninja decks. It's also a ninja, and it can't be blocked by creatures of greater power. And you can also use it to return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. So if you wanted to re-ninjutsu out something, or return one of your ninjas back to your hand, that's really good there. Thousand Phase Shadow is a 1/1 flyer for 1. Spectral Slinger is a 1/1 flyer for 1 with Flash. Triton Stalker and Tormented Soul can't be blocked. So we're really having a lot of cards here that we can use to ninjutsu or sneak out our ninjas. So it's really important. Really, really important. Okay. Next on the list, Higide, the Steel Wind. Higide is great. Obviously, you're going to be ninjutsuing him out, and when he deals combat damage, you get a ninja to your hand from your library. So you get to essentially tutor for a ninja, which is fantastic because we have lots of great ninjas here. You can kind of do whatever ninja is the best. If you need card draw, if you need treasure tokens, if you need whatever, Higide can get it out, and it also has the similar ability of Splinter of making your ninjas unblockable when they're out, so really good there. Ink Eyes, forgot Ingenious Infiltrator. Ingenious Infiltrator will just draw us cards when ninjas deal combat damage to a player, so that's really great. Ink Eyes is good, but definitely better late game when graveyards are stacked, not as much early game, so having Ink Eyes in the opening hand is not the best, but is a good card nevertheless. Krang and Shredder as a new Utrom human ninja for 6 mana. Doesn't have ninjutsu or sneak, but it is a 6/7 that has whenever Krang and Shredder enter or attack, each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. So this is kind of the Dimir Atali, right? So you don't get to cast them right away. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent left the battlefield under your control this turn, you may cast a card exile with Krang and Shredder without paying its mana cost. So it is very much more safe Atali, right? More fair. And a permanent has to leave the battlefield under your control this turn. Now, typically, that's going to be ninjutsuing, or maybe if you build around Krang and Shredder, you're sacrificing. Who knows? But yeah, this is going to be really, really good, really strong, and going to make it so that you can cast a bunch of your opponent's really strong spells too. Leonardo Sewer Samurai is a Mutant Ninja Turtle Samurai. 4 mana for a 3/3, but also has Sneak for 4 mana too. So you can either cast it normally or sneak it in. It's good either way. Has Double Strike. And then during your turn, you may cast spells of power toughness of 1 or less from your graveyard. If you cast a spell this way, this creature enters with a finality counter on it. So this is a great way to get back your 1 mana unblockable creatures that can help you ninjutsu stuff out. So very, very nice there. And just having a double striking ninja is fantastic. Ninja the Deep Hours, when it deals combat damage, will draw us a card. So not bad there. One of the older ninjas that we still have in because card draw is so strong, and this deck has a lot of ways to draw cards, but still pretty good. Orochi's Soul Reaver, a newer ninja that's definitely a little more busted. When it deals, whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token and manifest the top card of that player's library. Satoru Umezawa is interesting. Whenever you activate a ninjutsu ability, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand, the rest of them on your library in any order. It triggers only once each turn. I'm noticing now, the triggers only once each turn doesn't work with your commander, Splinter Radical Rat. So, because he obviously wanted it to trigger multiple times. And yes, you're giving your cards ninjutsu too, but that only gives you a discount to like 4 cards in the deck, and the only card that we really care about giving the ninjutsu to is Krang and Shredder, which is really strong if you can give it that, right? But yeah, not that great in here. I'm actually going to remove it. I removed Satoru and I added another card, so on to the next. Shark Shredder, Killer Clone. 4 mana for a 4/4 Shark Octopus Ninja. Love that creature type. Has First Strike, and whenever Shark Shredder deals combat damage to a player, you put up to 1 target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It enters tapped and attacking that player, which is why First Strike is so strong here. First Strike damage, you get a creature from that player's battlefield under your control, and it's also attacking them. So it's kind of like a better Ink Eyes in a way. Can't regenerate itself, but pretty similar stats. 1 less damage, but honestly, yeah, both are really strong. Silent Blade Oni, a classic here. I think Silent Blade Oni is probably one of the strongest ninjas ever made, right? It's a 7 mana for a 6/5, but ninjutsu for 6. Whenever Silent Blade Oni deals combat damage to a player, look at that player's hand. You may cast a non-land card in it without paying that card's mana cost. So this is probably the strongest. Everyone's hands are full of really good, strong cards. If you can cast something for free with Silent Blade Oni, that's fantastic. If you get a second trigger with your commander, you're just doing really well, and your opponent is hating you, right? Because they just lost 2 cards from their hand. It's not just, you know, they discard 2. You're casting those spells. They discard them, and you get to cast them. That's really good. That's honestly diabolical. Silver for Master is fantastic in here. It's a ninja. It buffs our ninjas and rogues, which a lot of our, cards that are unblockable are rogues rather than ninjas. Some of them are pirates or whatever. It's really doesn't matter that much, but some of them get buffed. But ninjutsu abilities we activate cost 1 less to activate, so that helps out a lot too. We also have Super Shredder, new from the set. When another permanent leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Super Shredder, and it also has Menace. So Super Shredder could activate as a 1/1 Menacer for 2 mana that you can ninjutsu up, right, and then recast it for cheap later. I don't hate that, right? If this has like 3 or less counters, I'm okay bringing this back up to my hand to cast something that's better. But if you have this out when you're able to ninjutsu out a lot of stuff, this can get really big. This can get up to like 8 or 9 power, and hitting someone with a menace 8/9, and it's also a ninja, that's really good. Plus, its ability gets stacked with your commander, right? It is a ninja, it is a triggered ability, and so you're going to be getting 2 1/1 counters whenever a permanent leaves the battlefield, and that's any treasure, that is any clue, food, someone sacrificing like a wooded foothills or another kind of fetch land or evolving wilds or whatever. This is going to get really big really quick. So typically you're not going to be using it as a way to ninjutsu things in. That's more like a niche case. This is going to be a really strong card that people are going to have to remove quickly. Phasm Face Shadow we kind of talked about, but it can also enter in as a copy of another target attacking creature if you ninjutsu it out instead. So that's pretty good to make a second copy of like a Silent Blade Oni, or maybe you don't want to make a second copy of your legendary ones, but you have some of the non-legendaries that are really strong. Throat Slitter, which destroys a non-black creature when it deals damage, which is really good. And then Turncoat Kunoichi is also new from the set, and whenever Turncoat Kunoichi enters, choose target creature opponent controls, exile that creature until this creature leaves the battlefield. Not that great, but if you sneak it in instead, you just exile the chosen creature. So this is just removal on ninjas, which is really great to have, and I love this. So yeah, it's just strong. You're mostly going to be exiling your opponent's creatures, but maybe the niche cases you just want to have it enter and just remove something temporarily. Maybe you only have 3 mana to remove a blocker, and that could do it, so that's nice. And Winch Enchanter is just here to destroy an artifact or enchantment and be a land, right? That's really what it is. Alright, sorcerers, you got 3. Raise the Palisade and Toxic Deluge are just 2 board wipes, right? We're going to be raising ninjas, all non-ninjas to their opponent's hands. And then Toxic Deluge is just a great board wipe in general. Victimize, I added. This is what I added after Satoru. I feel like, there are a bunch of cards that are making us draw or discard, or maybe we're drawing too many cards and we have to discard from our hand. Victimize helps get some of our really strong pieces out of the graveyard, right? Because it's going to be easy for someone to remove Higade or Dark Leo and Shredder, or maybe Krang and Shredder, and they just kind of sit in the graveyard, and I didn't have any cards here that can kind of get them out. So Victimize is a way to maybe sacrifice one of our really weak creatures and get out 2 strong creatures from our graveyard, so I thought that was probably a great play there. Other instance we have, right, we have Offer You Can't Refuse, Arcane Denial, Negate. Those are kind of the 3 go-to counters I put in any blue deck, or deck that has blue. If you want to add more, you can definitely do that. We are drawing lots of cards in this deck. You can, if you have like 5 or 6 counters, I think you'll typically, after turn 4, have at least 1 counter in your hand, to do stuff. And as you can keep drawing cards, you can draw into more counters. Also running Dark Ritual, which is this fun new Splinter art. Essentially, turn 1 can get you Splinter on the battlefield, because Splinter is just 1 and then hybrid Orzhov, so you could just use it with a Dark Ritual. Don't really get anything off of him being on the field turn 1, but, this is a quick way to, if you want a ninjutsu in like Yuriko, which I didn't even mention Yuriko, but Yuriko is obviously, a game ender in this deck and one of the strongest cards you can have. But Yuriko is, it just burns all your opponents, so it's just really good. And say if you want to ninjutsu something in, but maybe you only have like 1 extra mana, you can't cast your mana and ninjutsu something in, but you have Dark Ritual. Well, now you can Dark Ritual, get your commander on the battlefield, and then still be able to ninjutsu something in. So that's the idea behind Dark Ritual in here. Despark is great removal. Fel the Profane, also great removal that counts as a land. Generous Gift is a really versatile removal, and because we're making our creatures unblockable anyways, we don't really care about giving our opponent a 3/3 elephant, especially in Commander. It's not that big of a deal. Boards get wiped, they have to sacrifice stuff. I don't know. It's pretty solid. Malakir Rebirth is there to help protect one of our creatures, but also count as a land. Void Rend just to remove whatever we want, and then Withering Torment also to help kind of deal with creatures and enchantments. Artifacts, we've got some really strong ones here. I definitely think you could add cards like Teferi's Protection, Restoration Magic, those kind of things to like protect like from mass board wipes. Those would be really good. As far as artifacts go, we've got a solid ramp package. We have all the signets, Arcane, Azorius, Dimir, and Orzhov, and then we also have talismans, right? I don't think you need all 7 of those, plus Felwar Stone, but I have them in here just because, some of the ninjas do get expensive, and as you draw more cards, you want to be able to cast more things, so I think it is pretty important here. Patrick Banner, our last mana rock, also buffing all of our ninjas, so really great there. And then Genji Glove is really, really nice. Giving our quick creature double strike is fantastic for essentially quadrupling our ninjas dealing combat damage triggers, but also has, whenever a quick creature attacks, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, you untap it. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase, so getting you multiple combat phases a turn is something you don't really see a whole lot in Esper, but really, really strong, and Splinter's ability lasts for the whole turn, right? So really strong there. Enchantments, we are running a handful of those. Kindred Discovery to draw us a ton of cards. Honestly, you might be able to take this out and still do really well. Maybe add one of those protection spells. Ninja Teen is new. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Level 2 gives creatures +1/+1 menace, and level 3 gives creature cards in your graveyard sneak 4, and you can cast creature spells from your graveyard using their sneak ability. So this is a good way to help get some ninjas out of your graveyard too. So just a heads up there. Smoke Shroud gives creatures +1/+1 and flying, and whenever a ninja enters the battlefield under your control, you can return Smoke Shroud from your graveyard to the battlefield, attach to that creature, so it makes it easier to not be blocked. Spirit Mantle gives a creature pro colors and +1/+1, so it makes it unblockable essentially. Same thing with Question Authority, and it also draws a card when it enters, has protection from creatures, so really good. And then 33 lands, nothing crazy here. We are running like the Black Gate and Reliquary Tower, but this is just a generic land package, but let's go ahead and playtest. We have 1 land. If we can draw a 2nd land, we're actually really in business here. Nice. Never punished. Slitherblade. Turn 2. Play the other island. Use that to play the Arcane Signet. And use that to play the Changeling Outcast. Sit for 1. Next turn. Tap 2 for the Talisman of Progress. Attack with the Changing Outcast. Ninjutsu out Prosperous Thief. And we will create a treasure. So now we have a treasure. So we have 5 mana, which is really nice. Which lets it so that we can... Well, now we have 6 mana. We can play Splinter. Then we can give Prosperous Thief unblockable and have it give us 2 treasures. So we are getting the money back that we're spending. Just to deal 3 extra damage to somebody, which is nice. Or we could just give it Spirit Mantle, right? And make 2 treasures that way. Both really strong options. And then we have enough mana for Void Rend, right? So really, really nice there. And then the next thing we need to do is to draw cards. Fluttering Nuisance actually helps with that. So next turn, Torment Soul out. So we can play Fluttering Nuisance. And then we can pay 1, 2, 3 to remove a counter. And we can now draw, right, let's just say this is on this. We have 2 treasures as well. So we can now swing in for 2 and draw 2 cards. Nice. And then we can play the land. And we have Archetype Imagination, and this can no longer help us draw cards, unfortunately, but we're still in a really great position, right? Sakashima's Student's really good. Yeah, so nice game here. Okay. 1 land would have been nice. 0 is what we got. Okay, another 1-lander. Not loving these 1-landers, so let's try again. Okay, this is technically a 2-land hand, so we'll take it. Draw, we'll play Malakir Rebirth, tapped. Next turn, play Witch Enchanter, pay 3 life, tap 2 for Arcane Signet. Alright, next turn. No land, that's rough. Okay. We will play the Triton Shorestalker. Okay, Triton Shorestalker, Prosperous Thief. Give us a treasure. Not ideal. We're getting mana screwed these games. Okay, 2-land hand. We'll keep it. Fill the Profane. Enter tapped. Turn. Okay, Arcane Signet is not bad. We will take it. Play it. Next turn. I guess we could have had Tormented Soul out on turn 1. Not a big deal. We will do this to here. And then we will add blue-black and play blue-black. Turn 3. Not amazing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. guess we play Kindred Discovery and say Ninja. That's all that we can really do right now. Now we're on turn 5, and play the Signet, I guess, and then 3 for Splinter. Draw a card. You draw a land. Those are the 3 we paid for Splinter. Swing in. Okay, Question Authority is nice, and we have the white for Prehistoric Pet, which will get us. And Splinter can also become unblockable and draws a card too, so not bad, not bad. We're not in a great position, but pay 1, draw a card, we have 1 floating, play that, use the 1 floating, and give me your Signet for Swiftfoot Boots. Let's go ahead and equip that to our commander. And yeah, we're just trying to draw cards. Okay. Let's try this hand. No ramp pieces, but we got some stuff going. Alright, let's play the island pass after we play the Flittering Nuisance. Turn 2. Turn 2 is great. We can swing in. Boop. Boop. And draw a card. Turn 3. If someone still has someone that can't really block, we can play Splinter. In fact, I kind of like that idea. Draw 2 cards. Move to discard. It's tough. Fiend's Tower and the Plains have to go. Alright, next turn. Ginger Brute. Nice. Alright, we don't have enough mana yet for Ink Eyes, that's fine. Let's play Flittering Nuisance. And we'll play the Unquestioned Authority on Ingenious Infiltrator to get removal put on it. Right, swing it in, attack. Nice. And then, yeah, so now we have really good card draw, right, with Ingenious Infiltrator. If you have more cards like that, it's been really helpful. Yeah, that's pretty much the deck. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm really excited to have the Mutant Ninja Turtle set come out, but let me know what you think. What card are you excited for? What would you put in this deck? What would you take out of this deck? Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content, and so you don't miss out on any of our pre-con upgrades or deck techs that are going to be coming out in the future. And then also become a channel member, so you get extra entries into those pre-con giveaways that we do when each set rolls around. But otherwise, I hope you have a great week, and I'll be back next time. Bye.